If you're a trader and you're watching this right now, then you're stuck. But you're not stuck on what is the next strategy that's going to make you successful. You're not stuck on what's the next way that you're going to pass your funded account. You're not stuck on what's the next way that you're going to make, whatever you're looking to make per month. You're stuck in your mind, in your own head. And here's the thing. With trading, there's a lot of different ways to approach this. There's a lot of different strategies that work. There's a lot of different ways to find an edge. Now, I believe that every good trader knows how to read the chart, and every trader that has an edge knows how to read the chart. But once you have figured that out and you have a strategy for reading the chart that has an edge, then it becomes a matter of controlling a lot of things that are going on in your brain. And it's really, really difficult as a trader to get this moving. So I'm going to help you understand how to do this right now. And when it comes down to it, there's a psychological component to trading, there's an emotional component to trading, and there's also the routine based and like repetition based approach that we need to understand. When it comes to our psychology, things are working against us as traders. So our brains are wired to avoid pain. They're completely wired to just for pain avoidance and pleasure seeking behaviors. When we're in a trade and we see the price going up, we want to close the position way too early because we want to take the pleasure of realizing the profit. We also want to avoid the pain of having it go up and then come against us and leaving money on the table or giving back money that we could have made, right? So that's a hard thing as a trader. The other thing, though, is that when a trade is working against us, we have this urge to move our stop loss because we don't want to realize the loss because that's pain. So we'll avoid the pain by moving the stop loss, which actually will lead to further pain. So unfortunately, as we trade, everything is working against us in our own body and brain to keep us from being profitable and successful. So how do we deal with this as traders? Well, the way that we have to deal with this is by studying it, understanding it, and setting rules for ourselves that we're going to follow either way. Now, for me, the way this works is when I take a trade, my stop loss always goes one tick below the signal bar if I'm going long, or one tick above the signal bar if I'm going short. And I don't move it. This is just a criteria. I don't move it. That's just how it works. I have to leave it there. And I have to follow that rule no matter how much it hurts if I take the loss. So I've learned how to have the discipline to follow that rule. It's a hard rule that I stick with. Similarly, with profit taking, my take profit is based on a very specific methodology that I use and that I teach in my courses. And that methodology, I don't change. I always use that methodology with taking profit and leaving a runner, and that's how I do it. And then I've learned how to manage my runner. Now, a lot of this has come from repetition. So I know that my psychology will work against me and that I will feel uncomfortable when I'm in the trade. I know this, and I've studied it, and I've observed my behavior, and I've done a ton of repetition on simulator account before trading with the full cash account, right? That simulation trading has helped me get the muscle memory that I need to do what I need to do. Now, of course, I still feel the emotions. Of course, I still feel angry when I'm wrong. Of course, I still feel sad or depressed when I take a loss. Of course, I still feel exuberance and over the moon excitement when I have a win or have a big runner. Those we can't get rid of. We can't get rid of our emotions. I hear people all the time say, oh, just trade like a robot. You got to trade like a robot. You can't trade like a robot. You're not a robot. You're a person. And honestly, being a person is part of what gives us an edge in the market because we can actually read the chart with subjectivity and nuance that a robot cannot. So our humanness actually leads to us having an edge in our strategy and our chart reading. And when we start to understand the emotions that we're feeling and the psychology that's working against us, we can still trade effectively. So I can still trade and feel that exuberance and still feel that anger and still feel those things and still execute my trading plan accordingly. I can still feel it and then execute, right? That's because of the repetition in my behavior. I know what's going to happen to me psychologically. I know that if I take a loss, I'm going to want to try to make back the money and I'm going to want to break my rules in order to get myself there. Like, for example, if I take a loss that's large and I know that it's going to take me 2 to 3 wins to make that ground up again, I know that my psychology is going to want to encourage me to try to make all of it in one trade. But that's actually going to be working against me. That's breaking my own rules. I know all this stuff because I've studied it. So you can start to rewire the way that you think about trading and the way that your brain actually works while you're doing it by studying it, journaling about it, writing it down, and a lot of repetition. Now, there's not a shortcut to this. Like, it does take screen time. You have to execute trades. And that's why I always tell people to trade on a simulator account for a long time and study all these things. Because everyone's tendencies are a little bit different. Some people have a harder time accepting loss. Some people have a harder time with actually closing their trade in the right place because they want to like try to, shoot the moon or something. There's a lot of different tendencies that different traders have, and you have to understand what your tendencies are. But then what it comes down to after all this is actually working on your repetition, routines, and lifestyle. And this is where it makes all the difference. So I talked to you about the psychology, the emotions, the reps, strategy, that sort of thing, And here's the thing, by the way, before I even fully get into this with the shift that you need to make, I want to say something else. Avoid the tendency to blame everything on the strategy, because our ego is one other component that will get us in trouble. We'll want to blame everything on the strategy or where we learned the strategy or the market or whatever. Always take accountability for your own trading and realize that you're in control of yourself. The market's not out to get you, and your strategy is not out to get you. And with enough repetition and studying of a strategy and knowing that it has an edge, you have to understand that and resist the urge to blame everything on that. Take full accountability and you'll have progress much faster. You take a loss, take accountability for that loss. Don't blame the market or blame the strategy. Now, of course, if you have a strategy that hasn't been proven to work, then you need to have that first. So like, don't get me wrong here. Like, some strategies just don't work and you need to have one that does. But once you know how to read the chart and you have a strategy that works, then it all comes down to these other things. So moving on to this is important. Your lifestyle has a huge impact on your trading. So some people think that they can study psychology, emotions, all these things, and then they can start trading and that they're going to be great and they can journal and they can do all this, but then they don't change their lifestyle. They don't go to sleep at the same time every day. They don't exercise. They use substances. They do all these things. Look, that isn't going to work. Like, trading is one of the hardest fields to be successful in, and it has no barrier to entry. So it's got this high appeal to everyone, but it's actually extremely difficult to do. Now, some industries have a large barrier to entry, right? Like becoming a physician or a surgeon. That has a huge barrier to entry because of just how long it's going to take. Or becoming a professional musician, right? You're going to need to study and play all the time, and you're going to have to outwork everyone else, and it's going to take so much effort to do it, right? That's the way that it is for most rewarding career paths. With trading, it's no different. It's just that our barrier to entry is low. So that leads to people getting wrecked over and over again. So here's the thing. You have to think about this as a long-term endeavor that you're going to study so hard on and you're going to master and you're going to outlast everyone else, just like entrepreneurship, right? It's similar to entrepreneurship. Trading is just like it. And it's very difficult, but you have to have that mindset. In that mindset, in order to become the best, what do you have to do? You have to make sacrifices and have a lot of discipline, and that will lead to your freedom long term. So for me, what this looks like is exercising every day, getting outside in nature every day, going to sleep at the same time every day, living completely sober and not using any substances every day, right? Waking up around the same time every day without an alarm. taking care of my body, eating clean, uh, practicing gratitude, having a gratitude practice every morning, having a spiritual practice every morning, praying every morning, connecting with my pets, connecting with my partner, connecting with my kids every single day. I do these things. I try to live a very positive, loving lifestyle, and I really embody the way that I want to feel every single day. That carries over into my trading. It's crucial. And you'll hear people talk about this. You'll hear professional athletes talk about rituals and routines and things that they do, and that's all part of this. You have to live a life that is embodying what you want and how you want to feel as a trader, and then you have to actually do it. You can't just go out and party all night and then show up and expect to trade the same way as you did the day before. Similarly, if you're going through hard stuff in your life, it's going to affect your trading because you have to develop mental toughness. And going through really hard stuff will be difficult on you. Everybody has thresholds of their mental toughness. So these are all things that you have to work on. And a lot of people want to sugarcoat it like there's some easy way to become a super successful trader. But really, it's a ton of hard work. And a lot of it is behind the scenes, right? Like I can go and live stream and show people all this stuff and they're like, wow, like you understand all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but what you don't realize is that I've been trading since 2017 and I've gone through a lot of hardship to get to the point that I'm at now. It's like an iceberg where all the large part of it is all unseen, right? Like you don't see me doing all this stuff, but I do it all every day. And it's a lot of hard work and dedication to get to this point. So I just want to share this with you. Like it's not for the faint of heart. You have to really work hard to set yourself apart from all these other people out there trading. It's extremely difficult, but it's so rewarding. When you get to the point where you can trade effectively each day, you basically have a way to generate an income without stress. I mean, well, sorry, there is stress. Don't get me wrong, there is stress. You have a way to generate an income and only have to trade for like an hour or two each day and then go live the life that you want to live. That's amazing. There's no other career path that I can think of that's like this. It's amazing. It truly is. But it requires so much. And unfortunately, the low barrier to entry makes people think that it's an easy way to get to the top, and it's not. It's going to take a ton of reps, a ton of time, and a ton of effort. And that's just the way it is. And look, if you want to learn more about how I do it, go look at the first link in the description, and there is a free trial to my school community where I do this with everyone else. It's a lonely career, and this is a way to make it less lonely. But anyway, I'll see you soon.